that we play with anyway is going to be the big rim, which you've already done, but we're going to modify it just slightly. So we open up our big rim file that we originally had, and what we're going to end up doing is throwing on these spokes. There should be 15 of the spokes in total. They are set up and cut out just a little bit different, so we're going to walk you through that process. So I'm actually going to roll mine back here so you can see where I started at and where I'm going to finish. So what I'm looking for, again, here's the big rim modified drawing. So I can see it says equally spaced between the spokes. We're still using the same A and B from whatever the drawing that they gave us from. On our drawing that we just did for big rim, we had B as 900, A was 100, so that means this section here would be 140, here would be 100, so we shouldn't have to change any of that unless they specify to change A and B. The main thing that we need to do is go up here and create this sketch and cut that sketch out. So, going to our drawing, we're going to, and we do need to change this to nickel. I should have said that in our in our drawing sheet. It does say nickel now, so I've already changed mine. Remember, if you need to change material, just edit material. Nickel should be found in other metals. Nickel, apply, close. So on this face right here, I'm going to select this face and hit sketch. I'm going to change my view here to hidden lines removed so you can see this a little easier. Next thing I'm going to do is create two circles. I'm going to change my view here to hidden lines removed so you can see this a little easier. Next thing I'm going to do is create two circles. First circle is going to be from the origin to the outside of the inner circle. So not this one, but this one right here. Select. And then another circle from the origin to the inside of the outside circles. So I have two circles here. I'm going to create two lines. One from the origin straight up. And one from the origin up and at an angle. So now that I have that, the next thing I'm going to do is, looking at my drawing, is set that angle. You want to set the angle now while the fulcrum for the angle is actually at the origin. So smart dimension, set your angle. It's at 20. We're going to trim the entities, so I'm just going to trim off everything I don't need here. So I'm just left with this surface. Fillet. So I'm just left with this surface. I'm just going to trim off everything I don't need here. So I'm just left with this surface. Fillet. Shows the left side fillets at 10, the right side fillets at 20. So 20, 20, check mark. Ten, check mark. Alright, the fillets are on. We'll hit check mark here. And now what we need to do is cut this out. So features, extrude cut. I'm going to make sure it goes through all. There we go. Now we can actually turn our visibility back on so we can see what's going on here. Alright, so we have one of these cut out. Now we need to do multiple. So to do multiple, we're going to use under the features menu. There actually is one of these under the sketch menu called a circular sketch pattern, but because we've already made it, it's now 3D, so now it's a feature pattern. So it's circular pattern. First question it asks us is pattern axis. So what are we rotating it around? Okay, that's circular pattern. First question it asks us is pattern axis. So what are we rotating it around? Okay, that's what this box is asking. So I know that the base of this is actually going to go around this circle right here. So I'm going to select on this circle for my pattern axis. I want it equally spaced. I have 15 of them. And then the last thing I need to do is tell it what am I actually cutting out. I'm going to be cutting out that piece right there. If I didn't do equal spacing, we'll put it in like this so we can see all the pieces, but we want it equally spaced. You can see changing the number, it still keeps the equal spacing between the objects, but I already counted on our paper and we have 15 of these. Check mark. There's our big rim with spokes. Evaluate mass. 159967.79. There we go. Alright guys, good luck. Alright, the drawing we're going to work on today is called the latch. So the latch drawing is a pretty simple drawing as far as sketches go. We only have one sketch and one extrude. The difficulty really lies in all the dimensioning. So we're going to break this up the easiest way possible by taking this into 3 segments. So we have our left side segment over here. We have our right side segment over here, and then we have the arcs in the middle connecting it. So we're going to try to break the drawing up in this way. A few dimensions we need to look at first. A, B, C. A is 84. That's showing the overall width of the object. B is 29. That's showing the starting point for the bottom of this diagonal line. And then we have C, which is 32, which is our height on the left side of our object. So we need to take all those into account. Our material we're using today is AC 1020, which is a steel. Our mass is going to be 1066.52. So let's go ahead and get started. File new, part. Once we have File New Part up, we're going to go ahead and go to MMGS for our units and set our material to AC 1020 again. Edit material. It's going to pop up the dialog box. Again, from here we're going to find our steels. We're going to find AC 1020. We're just going to use the standard, not the cold rolled. So standard AC 1020, apply, close. We're going to do this drawing from the front plane. Sketch. We're going to start with a circle. Circle is going to have a smart dimension of 12. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and draw our outside shape. So first we're going to grab center line, and we're going to go from the center of our circle straight down. And then we're going to draw the outside shape. So now we're going to grab object line, go from here, going to come over to the left, up and at an angle, straight up and at an angle, and yes, we do right here want to use this reference line. And then we're going to stop just above our circle, directly above it. Okay, now we're going to throw in some dimensions. So right here we can see it's 14 from the center of the circle to the bottom. We can see this is 32 tall because it's C, 18 tall here with a 45-degree angle. So let's throw those dimensions on. So first one, 14 on our height, 32 tall, 18 tall in the center, and it says 45 degrees. Now, if you know anything about geometry, we have something called the Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem states that if the hypotenuse, which is right here, is ever a 45-degree angle, then A and B must be equal. Well, if A and B must be equal, and we're assuming that this is the same for the top as well, then the distance, or the height of this line and the height of this have something called the Pythagorean Theorem. So first one, 14 on our height, 32 tall, 18 tall in the center, and it says 45 degrees. Now, if you know anything about geometry, we have something called the Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem states that if the hypotenuse, which is right here, is ever a 45-degree angle, then A and B must be equal. Well, if A and B must be equal, and we're assuming that this is the same for the top as well, then the distance, or the height of this line and the height of this line must be the same. So 32 minus 18 is 14. We have two pieces, so that would make each one of these 7. Since that one's 7, this one should automatically must be equal. Well, if A and B must be equal, and we're assuming that this is the same for the top as well, then the distance, or the height of this line and the height of this line must be the same. So 32 minus 18 is 14. We have two pieces, so that would make each one of these 7. Since 2 minus 18 is 14, we have two pieces, so that would make each one of these 7. Since that one's 7, this one should automatically come out as 7. And again, we are using a linear dimension, not an aligned dimension. If I try to put this one on, it's going to tell me it's driven. I don't want that, so I'm going to hit cancel right there. The last little bit is I need to go from here to here. this one should automatically come out as 7. And again, we are using a linear dimension, not an aligned dimension. If I try to put this one on, it's going to tell me it's driven. I don't want that, so I'm going to hit cancel right there. The last little bit is I need to go from here to here, and I need to set that dimension. On my drawing here, I'm going to find that dimension up here at the top. That it's going to be 14. It's measuring from this point to the edge. It's also measuring from the edge to the circle. So 14. And now we're also going to do the same thing, edge to the center of the circle, 14. Okay, so now you can see everything's fully defined. My next step is I'm going to zoom out and I got to draw this right side of the object. So step 1 is going to be to take this line right here. I'm going to delete that line off. And I'm going to redraw it coming across. Now, since I did that, you saw the 32 disappeared. I'm going to go ahead and throw that one back on there real quick. Coming across. Now, since I did that, you saw the 32 disappeared. I'm going to go ahead and throw that one back on there real quick. Good. And now my 7 is also gone. I need to put that one back on. Now, we said our overall distance is 84, so that means this line is going to be 77. So what I just did there is I drew a line from this point all the way to this point. That is going to be the same thing as this point all the way to this point. And what we're going to try to do here is draw this diagonal line. But in order to do that, we need to know the start point and end point. So we're going to use this as our reference and draw a line up, draw a line down, draw a line over, and that's going to give us that diagonal reference. So we can see that this is 35 from the top to the bottom, 19 here, and 29 here. So let's go ahead and draw those in. So we're going to use center line, going up, going down, going at it to the left. So top to bottom, 35, 19, going up, going down, going at it to the left. So top to bottom, 35, So we're going to use center line, going up, going down, going at it to the left. So top to bottom, 35, going down, going at it to the left. So top to bottom, 35, 19, 29. So because we did that, now we can go ahead and draw the diagonal. Connect the dots. Up and at an angle. When you do this angle right here, make sure you're not putting in perpendicular. Go just off of that. There we go. Alright, so our next dimension, it shows 19, 24, 29, 24. So let's go ahead and put those in. So 19, 24, 29, 24. Okay, so now we just need to connect the middle. In order to do that, we have this big arc right here. That arc, we can see right here, has a center point right here. So what I'm going to try to do is draw a circle from here to match that arc. But the problem is I don't have a center point. So the first thing I have to do is trim. I'm going to trim off this line right here. And now I can use the circle to go ahead and draw out to this point. And that circle has a smart dimension. And we can see right here there's a radius of 29. It's giving me diameter though, so I got to do 29 times 2. So 58. We're going to take a line, connect from there to the circle. And now we just trim off the parts we don't need. So I don't need this, I don't need this, and I don't need this line anymore. So we can see our arc now. The only things we have left to do, put our fillet here and put a 3-point arc. So we're going to do a fillet of 5 millimeters. Again, we can see that right here. You can see 5 that way, 5 that way. That's going to be a 5 radius. Check mark. And then we have a 3-point arc. Point 1, point 2, point 3. Smart dimension. That's going to come in at 40. Good. So we're all done here. Features. Extrude boss base. We are going to do this mid-plane. And then we're going to go 45 for our dimension on our width. And that's going to be found on that right-hand side here. Check mark. And we should come out with evaluate mass properties at 1066.52, which matches our mass properties on our drawing sheet. Alright, good luck. Alright, today we're going to work with the plate drawing. So the plate drawing is 1060 alloy, so it's aluminum alloy. We have an A and a B dimension. Our A dimension is going to be on this second page. It's going to show our width of our plate, and it's also got A plus 20 down here showing the bottom width. We also have B, which shows the diameter. So on this first page, we can see the isometric. We see the front view, which shows the spokes and the cutout for the spokes, and we can also see the diameters of the fillets for the spoke. So on the second sheet, though, we see the section view, which is going to allow us to gives us our shape, so we can go ahead and draw what we need to draw. This is going to be very similar to the big rim drawing in that we're going to use that revolve command, so we don't necessarily need to draw all of the item, but we are going to draw most of it. So Solidworks, File New Part, MMGS, and then 1060 alloy for our material. We're going to start this one right plane sketch with a horizontal center line that's infinite length. Right there. Good. From here we're going to take an object line right on the origin. We're going to go up and at a slight angle, up and at another slight angle, over, come down about 45, coming in just a little bit to where we don't have any reference points, coming down, back over, no reference points, back down, and then close. So we have our basic shape. Now we need to get some dimensions on this. So again, B, which was our overall diameter, was 980. So that's going to be our height, but divided by 2. So we're going to go from the bottom to the top. 980 divided by 2. So we got 490 for our height. And we said A, which was 65. Boom. And then our bottom was A plus 20, which would mean 85. Okay, so my drawing messed up on me a little bit there. That's okay though. So we're going to fix that by getting out of Smart Dimension. I'm just going to move these blue dots around until we get our shape kind of back to where we want it. This. That's going to come in here. And now we have our basic shape back where we want it. So anytime they're blue, we can move them around. If they're black, meaning they're defined, I can't move them. So Smart Dimension shows this as 100. Let's get some more dimensions here. So we can see 30 right here for our width. And we need to go up here. This shows 45 for the height here. Got that here, 20 here, and then we got an angle of 15 and an angle of 45. So 20, angle of 15 from here to here, 20, angle of 15 from here to here, and an angle of 45 from here to here. Alright, this line is still underdefined, and it's because we don't have 45 from here, 15 from here to here, and an angle of 45 from here to here. Alright, this line is still underdefined, and it's because we don't have the height of this line defined right here. And so if we go back to our drawing, we can see it's actually 25 from the top to that point right there. So our measurement right here is 490, so it's going to be 490 minus 25. And now that we've done that, we can see that all this is defined. So features, revolve. We want it to revolve around this horizontal line that we created, 360 degrees blind, check mark. And there's our, okay, now we have to draw the spokes. So the spokes, you can see, have a bunch of radiuses on here, and we're actually not going to do a cutout. Instead, we're going to draw one of these spokes and extrude it forward. So to do that, we're going to select on this front face, sketch. You do not want to select on front plane because front plane is actually on the back of our object. I'm going to select on that front face, sketch. Go normal 2. And the first thing we're going to do is draw 2 circles. One circle from the origin to snapping on that one. Origin, snapping on that one. Then we're going to draw a center line. It's going to go from the origin to the top quadrant up here. Snap. And then from here, we're going to offset entities bidirectional, and it shows this has a total width of 40, so I want to offset by 20 on each direction. Good, check mark. Okay, so now that we have this, we need to create fillets here, 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 and here. But we can't currently do it because there's a line going past this point. So we basically have to have 2 lines that touch, but not a third line that overlaps. So we have to trim some of this off. So we're going to trim off the middle part of this, the middle part of this. So you see how that now gives me 2 lines that touch here. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. So I'm going to delete that part. Sorry, trim that part, trim that part. We can actually also trim that center line now. So we're going to do sketch fillet. We can see the sketch fillet. There's 3 that are 10 millimeters and then 1 at 60. So let's do the 10. So this line to this line, this line to this line, this line to this line. It's going to say it's going to create a geometry relation which will be deleted. Yes, it's basically saying it's going to delete this little corner right here. Yes, I want to continue. Check mark. Alright, then we also have one that's 60, so I'm going to put in my 60. Going from here, that line, to that line. Yes. Check mark. Okay, so now we have the spoke drawn, but if I was to go ahead and go extrude boss base, right now it actually extrude everything but that object, which isn't good. We want it to extrude this object, not all of this. So what we have to do is we still have to work with that sketch a little bit more. To do that, what we're going to do is trim this part of the circle and this part of the circle. So now all we have left are this line and this line. We're going to redraw those same circles. There and there. That's going to give us that center arc back. Trim off that and that again, and now what we're left with is a polygon here in the middle which has those arcs on it. So now if I extrude boss base, I'm now extruding this. So if I go to the right hand side, it shows on our drawing here that this is 10 millimeters in. So our whole item is 65. We've already extruded 30, so that leaves me 35 left. I got to be 10 away from the edge, so that should leave me with a dimension of 25 millimeters for that extrude, which gives me that 10 millimeter distance right here. Check mark. Now there's our spoke. So now that we have one spoke, we need to make 8 more. So to do those spokes, we're going to use something called a circular pattern. We are in the features menu here. Circular pattern. Okay, in this menu, we have a series of questions. The first question use something called a circular pattern. We are in the features menu here. Circular pattern. Okay, in this menu, we have a series of questions. The first question it's going to ask, if I hold my mouse over here, is pattern axis. So it's saying, what do you want to rotate around? So what we're going to do to get that is we're going to go to View, Hide Show, Temporary Axis. And that shows us the dead center of the object. So we're going to rotate around the dead center of the object, axis 1. We want to rotate 360 degrees. In order to do that, you have to have equal spacing on. So we're going to turn equal spacing on, and now how many objects do we want? We want 9 total. And then the last question, it says, what do you want to copy? So in this box, you select here, and then select your object. It's going to create those objects. Check mark. And now we have our spoke. Alright, evaluate, mass properties, 84184.05. 84184.05.